What a beautiful Monday it is. Welcome to the program, everyone. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbale in Abuja. It's good to be back on the program, everyone. And let's get started talking about the elections. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, is again reassuring Nigerians and the international community that the commission remains committed to conducting credible elections driven by technology. We're speaking in Abuja today at a meeting with the ECOWAS pre-election fact-finding mission to Nigeria led by Mr. Kwanwo Afarigian. The INEC boss says, although there are being military interruptions in 3 West African countries, the commission is determined to deliver free and fair and credible, transparent elections in 2023.
We have a lot of work to do in our sub-region. Unfortunately, the situation is not like what it was in 2016 when we went round with Dr. Remi Ajubewa and Francis Oke saying that the whole of West Africa was democratic. But now there is some sort of regression in the sub-region. But I'm sure we'll be able to pull through and restore democracy in the 3 countries of Mali, Burkina, and Guinea-Conakry.
Well, as INEC chairman is assuring the nation that the election will be credible and upholding democratic tenets across the continent, or especially within this region, a civil society organization and a coalition of united political parties have continued to raise an alarm about threats to the country's democracy. The latest is coming from the chairman of Partners for Electoral Reforms, Mr. Izenwa Nwagu, who is calling for a thorough investigation into the allegations made by the coalition of united political parties on a plot to deactivate the Bermuda Voter Accreditation System, VIVAS, and also to replace the INEC chairman before the general elections of 2023. Take a listen to Mr. Nwagu.
A few days ago, the CUPP addressed a press conference. And is the reaction to that is of interest to me. It doesn't look as if a lot of people are taking that press conference seriously. The allegations that were made there deserve investigation. You have seen the interventions in the way that the resident electoral commissioners were appointed. We did address the press, calling attention to the fact that a lot of people with tainted pasts, about 5 people with tainted pasts, have been cleared by the National Assembly, and the National Assembly is putting up very lame excuses that there were no affidavits, nobody swore to affidavits. But you saw somebody who contested the election, gentlemen, in 2014 to be governor of a state in a particular political party. That man is sitting pretty today as an INEC commissioner. Election is about perception. So we are interested in ensuring that Nigerians are alerted to the threats that certain people within the security apparatus, working with some governors, are working to undermine this democracy.
Those are strong threats there. If those are not rumors, if they are true, then there is a big problem. Well, in the coming days, we'll be dissecting some of these issues. But first and foremost, there are a lot of stories that we need to give you tonight. Before I unveil my guest tonight for you on the program, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
And in Edo State, Governor Godwin Obaseki has written off the chances of the ruling APC retaining power after next year's presidential election. Mr. Obaseki stated this during the inauguration of Edo State's PDP Campaign Council, where he revealed that the federal government's continuous borrowing has left Nigeria indebted to the tune of 60 trillion naira. The Ogun State chapter of the Women Wing of the Southwest Agenda, a political support group associated with the All Progressives Congress presidential candidate Bola Tinubu, has been launched in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. The event attracted women from the 20 local local government areas of the state. Justice Matthias Agbola of the Osun State High Court has granted bail to 4 suspects arraigned before the court over vote buying in the last Osun State governorship election. The suspects were arrested by the officials of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission during the July 16 governorship election. The 4 suspects pleaded not guilty to the 2-count charge leveled against them. Counsel to the suspect had moved oral application for the bail of the suspects, which was opposed by the defense counsel. The case has been adjourned to the 21st and 28th of next month. The presidential candidate of Accord Party, Professor Christopher Imumole, says education and security will be the topmost priority of his administration if elected as president. He notes that education remains the bedrock of national development, peace and stability, but however laments that present and past administrations in the country have failed to develop this critical area. He was addressing a meeting of former councillors of northern Nigeria in Kaduna State. Professor Imumole says Nigeria's next president must be elected on the basis of capacity, character and competence, and not on the basis of religious or ethnic lines. He is also urging the youths to rescue the country from bad leaders by electing the right candidate as president in 2023. The court today affirmed Senator Basio as the governorship candidate of the APC in Cross River State. Senator Owaneno had in a suit approached the court seeking the disqualification of Senator Basio as the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress. Delivering judgment in Calabar, Justice Ojukwu says a candidate contesting for the position of governor must be a Nigerian and must meet the stipulated age requirement, as well as have basic qualification according to the Constitution. She said the matter of determination of the governorship candidate of a political party is and still remains the right of a political party. The presidential candidate of the African Democratic Party, Mr. Dumebi Kachiku, says the present situation of the country is deteriorating due to policies of past and present administrations. He also berates the streamlining of presidential debates to only 4 political parties, which according to him is non-inclusive and unfair to other political parties.
So much, everyone. I made a promise that as far as China's television is concerned in this election, we will ask the questions. Well, some of them may be tough in the area of those things that concern you as the average citizen, because this election is about you. The politics is about you. Indeed, if it's about the people, and the politicians need to answer the questions that will benefit the people of Nigeria. So tonight, we'll touch on some of those issues at the very heart of this election, and they're already coming up. Last week, the All Progressives Congress APC and the presidential candidate of that party, Bola Tinubu, unveiled what they call the party's campaign action plan. The action plan, according to the APC, is for the transformation of the country. The 80-page document contains a multi-sectoral policy options. The target, quote, renewed hope 2023 action plan for a better Nigeria. According to the document, the former Lagos State governor says he would prioritize national security, the economy, agriculture, power and oil and gas, transportation and education when he's elected president, Buhari's successor. But that piece of document has generated criticisms across major opposition pillars in the country, and varying comments started pouring, especially from opposition figures. The spokesperson of the main opposition party, Mr. Debo Olugunagba, he says, and I quote him, he says, what is important in this campaign is that records count. In 2023, Nigerians are going to be interested in records. APC is not known to keep promises, and that is why they have been referred to as all promises cancelled. The party is in liquidation and they are dying in installments. And over the weekend, a former presidential aspirant of the PDP and a publisher, Mr. Dele Momodu, he wrote, he said, quote, at a time when the country is in dire need of clear leadership with vision and courage, all the APC seems capable of doing is to generally copy and paste regurgitated ideas of others with nothing original or breathtaking. Ashwaji says he knows the way. With due respect, he does not. On more than one occasion, he has advertised himself as the architect of the victory of the APC in 2015. Their party slogan then was change. In 8 years, they have not been able to change anything positively. Those are the words of Dele Momodu. But more criticism seems to have rolled in over the document the APC and Bola Tinubu have put forward as a blueprint for their party and their campaign council and how they will govern should they be re-elected next year, February. Mr. Festus Keyamo has since responded by releasing a statement. But tonight, let's talk about these issues. I'm being joined by the director of the APC Presidential Campaign on Public Engagement, Special Operations and the New Media, Chief Femi Fani-Kayode, who is also a former aviation minister. He joins me live here in our Abuja studio. Thank you indeed for joining us tonight.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
I guess you have a copy of that document. It's about 80 pages. And first and foremost, there are a few issues that pops out. And the question is how, because I probably will be speaking with 4 million of Nigerians. Well, that's my duty as a journalist. I'm the mouthpiece of the Nigerian people. And they will be asking the question, not what you want to do, or how you want to do it. First and foremost, you've promised Nigerians in that document that you are going to fully deregulate the downstream sector of the petroleum sector in this country. Can you tell Nigerians what exactly your campaign council meant by that?
Well, I believe that we meant precisely what we said. Total deregulation, step by step. Of course, there are issues with that, because when you deregulate, there is some pain that is felt by those that have been affected by such deregulation. But our duty as a party and as a government is to ensure that those pains are ameliorated to a certain degree and a certain extent. So yes, that's the path that has been chosen. That's the way forward to effect what we believe will be the best thing for the Nigerian people. But whatever it is that may affect their fortunes in terms of hardship as a consequence of that policy will be looked into, and the necessary palliatives will be put in place to ensure that the pain is not too much. But as a policy, that really is the only way forward. So that's probably what I'll say about that for now. We have the right policy, the right objective, and we'll handle it in the right way. And that's the path, that's the only way forward. That's the only way forward for the sector and for our economy.
Should your party win the election, you'll be taking that decision on behalf of the over 200 million Nigerians.
Yes.
And perhaps, let me ask you, you don't belong to that ladder or the cadre of the Nigerian society that feed with $1 or less than $1 per day. Perhaps you may not be able to understand just how much pain some Nigerians are feeling today. And if you're asking Nigerians that more pains are coming, is that fair?
Well, it's fair simply because the pain is the pathway to great success and bliss. And that's the message that has to be pushed across. Yes, there will be pain. Anybody that tells you the road to economic recovery is devoid of pain is not telling you the truth.
Is that fair? That's the question.
But if you want to achieve an objective of a good economy, a strong economy, to the benefit of those very people you're talking about, you must tread that path of pain. And unfortunately for us, we've got ourselves into this situation over the last, 60 years of governance in this country, whereby we have to take the painful decisions to put us on the road of recovery and ensure that we get the very, very best for our people at the end of the day. So those pains will come, but there will be palliatives. There will be ways of managing that pain and extending a hand to the people to take that pain away throughout the process. But at the end of the day, which is the most important thing, once the policy has been achieved and is in place, it goes for the very, very best in terms of quality of governance, quality of the economy, standard of living, and so on and so forth for the very people that you're talking about. That's the only way forward.
Yeah, it does feel fair if it's been analyzed. But for those who are feeling the pinches, for those who are feeling the pain directly, might see it differently. And you're talking about your party that has ruled this country in the last 7 years, and you're asking Nigerians again to vote for you, and you're asking them again that you will feel pain, there will be pain. Whether or not they will accept your party's program in that direction is up to the voters. And let me ask you, you're asking them that they will feel more pain. Can any pain be more than an inflation that is almost a 2-decade high? An unemployment rate that is over 30%. An inflation rate that presently sits at about 21%. Is it fair to say they will feel more pain?
Well, look, these are very difficult times, not just for Nigeria, but for every country in the world as a consequence of so many things. And you and I know this. And it's all very well for us to harp on the challenges and the difficulties of the last few years and the present statistics of today. We are talking about the promise for tomorrow. And we are saying that this is the right road to take if you want to, for example, ensure that that sector that we're talking about goes from bounds to bounds and does well to the benefit of the people. Things have been difficult. There's no question about that. And I won't sit in front of you and tell you that everything has been perfect. But the fact of the matter remains that we mustn't give up. We must look forward. We must tread the right path. And we must do the right thing, make the hard choices in order to ensure that we have a better tomorrow for all of us. If we sit here and say no to deregulation, no to this, no to that, simply because we want to deceive the people, and then we implement those policies behind their backs, as it were, through the process of deceit, that will be worse. We are saying it as it is. We're telling you that these are hard choices that need to be made. It's rather like somebody going to the dentist. Let me use that as an example. With a rotten tooth that is decaying, you're going to go through pain taking that tooth out. But definitely there will be injections to ensure the pain is ameliorated to a certain extent, but the tooth has to come out. And when it comes out, it'll be a better thing for you, for everybody, and for those around you. And of course, a new tooth will grow and you'll be a better person for it. That is what we are dealing with here. So I'm not too concerned about the past. I'm concerned about the present, and I'm concerned about the future. And I'm saying that what needs to be done must be done to ensure that we have a better tomorrow for our people. They deserve that, and we must tell them the truth.
You will be concerned about the past, because that is one thing that your party has brought this country into. The past is part of what we are dealing with right now. And let me bring you to not so far past. In 2015, just like it's being said, that your party promised change. And the question is, what has changed in their story in the past? And I'm asking this question not without any kind of prejudice. I'm asking the question because we need to hold politicians to account on what they promise. See what the PDP has said, that your party has not been able to keep to any promise. In fact, all the promises that you have made to Nigerians, you have delivered in the negative.
That's coming from the PDP. That's coming from the PDP.
Absolutely. Are they right or wrong?
Well, I could put this to you right now. What promise have the PDP kept to their own people, to their own party, and to themselves? None whatsoever. Look, listen, there have been challenges, but if you want to talk about the road to recovery, if you want to talk about the way forward, let's talk about it, and let's see what the Tinubu administration intends to do.
I'm telling you, Chief Fanika, just a moment, we cannot talk about the future without talking about what your party has done over the last 7 years. And the question is that can Nigerians or should Nigerians believe you for what you promised the APC as a vehicle to lead to governance? You promised that you're going to deliver power. Do we have power? You promised that you are going to provide food on the tables of Nigerians. Do Nigerians have power? I mean, food. You promised that you are going to provide jobs. More Nigerians have been unemployed. The figures by the agencies of government have said in the negative. Over 30% in the unemployment rate. Inflation rate is horrible. Nigeria's exchange rate in the parallel market is over 700 naira to $1. You met it less than half of that figure. So you are saying that Nigerians should believe on what you have not been able to deliver. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm telling you, and I want to say it loudly and clearly, that there have been challenges in the past. Challenges that have been quite overwhelming to not just this country, but a number of countries that have affected the economy negatively. That is a given. I'm also telling you that this administration, that's the President Buhari administration, is coming to the end of its tenure. Things have been done rightly in some respects. Things have not been done so well in other respects. There's no running away from that. Nobody, no government, not even the Obasanjo regime of 1999 to 2007, which I served, was perfect in its ways. Everybody, every government that comes and goes makes some errors and makes and does some positive things. And I'm telling you right now that this new dispensation that we're entering is a completely different one. The good things that the Buhari administration has done will be carried along and continued, and the things that were not done so well would not be continued in that way. That is why you have a new president coming on board. Now, having said that, I think we've been a little bit disingenuous and unfair on the past administration, and I've argued against them on many occasions in the past until I began to appreciate certain things. Let me give you an example. The issue of rice, for example, rice production, agricultural production in this country. Before this government came in, we were totally importing rice. We were hardly producing any rice. Now we're virtually, we produce our own rice and we're exporting rice. Wheat has gone down. Wheat importation has gone down by 50% in this country as a consequence of the agricultural reforms of this government. Not only that, let's talk about security. Now, I was very, very much against this government as a consequence of the lack of security over a number of years. But a couple of years back, things have changed both in the northeast and in the northwest. And it's a work in progress. Nobody will dispute that things are far better in terms of the security situation. And the terrorist groups that we were all terrified of and we're complaining about, which up until 2 years ago were not even labeled as terrorist organizations, have been labeled as terrorist organizations by this government, and they are fighting them head on. So there have been challenges in the past. It has not been 100%, but certainly I will tell you this, that more things have been done right than we had thought before, and we have to hold on to that and build on it and go into the future. What you need to understand is that if you give this country over to the People Destruction Party, you are going to have hell over the next 4 years, simply because they don't keep their own promises to themselves, let alone to the people. They've reneged on their own constitutional provisions in terms of where the presidency will go. They've reneged in terms of power shift. They've reneged in terms of everything they've said, and that is self-evident in the activities of the party itself if you look at what's going on, which is why 5 of their governors have said, no way, we're not going to support Atiku. You need to judge them by what they do to themselves before you talk about what they're going to do to the country. By way of contrast, look at what has happened in the APC. Of course there are differences within the APC, like any other party, but we cover those differences, we work out those differences behind closed doors, we go forward together united, and we walk forward and we march together as one. That's the difference. A responsible, decent party which caters for the thought processes and sensitivities of one another, and are able to settle matters behind closed doors quietly, and one which is totally a vagabond in nature, that brings out its problems to the whole country, that fights one another to the point of death literally, and is irresponsible in all its ways. And that's the choice the Nigerians have to make here. Either Atiku as president with a divided party, broken promises, a lack of even respect for their own constitution, and so on and so forth, and also I would add this, hegemonist tendencies. Then on the other hand, you have a party that is under the leadership, will be under the leadership of a responsible, decent person who has united everybody, brought everybody together, even where people misunderstood us and spoke about Muslim ticket and so on and so forth. We came together as one. We're a party in which the northern governors conceded power to the south, something the governors in PDP refused to do. They conceded power to the south. In the PDP, they ripped off the south and cheated them and stole power and gave it to Atiku. In the APC, the northern governors conceded power to the south, and that is something you can never, ever, ever. Right. In fact, in the history of our country, it's never happened before. That's the party that's coming to take. That's the party that's coming in to take power.
It's interesting that you are raising an issue that has divided this country, the issue of ethnicity, and the twin of that is the issue of religion.
Yes.
You, for one, had described the APC as a party that has demons in it, and now you have voiced out to say that those who have oppressed this nation have oppressed the Christians in this country. Okay. Now, your party has been criticized of ignoring the religious tendencies of this country. It's interesting that you're bringing out the other tendency in the PDP, which I'm not saying is right or wrong, but I'm saying that before you look at the others, you also need to deal with it. So how do you defend what you have said in the past about the issue of Christianity, which your party and your candidate has not been able to defend?
I will do so right now, simply and clearly. The APC of the past, and I've said this before on your program, is not the APC of today. The APC of the past is not the APC of today. I'll say it a third time. The APC of the past is not the APC of today.
The demonic APC at the time.
And I will tell you
the
demons that were in the APC at that time have simply relocated and gone into the PDP. And I'll explain to you why, okay? In the APC today, ethnicity is respected. Possibly unlike before. I'm not scared to say it. You understand what I'm saying? My views were my views at that time until things changed. A new leadership came into the party, a leadership which was responsible and sensitive to the feelings of people, led by my Malabuni, the governor of Yobe State. New people came in, new governors that I happen to know very well, they gave me assurances, they honored every single one. A lot of people that were in the PDP at the time, including Matawale of Zamfara, Ayade of Cross Rivers, and Umahi of Ebonyi, and a number of other governors defected, including myself, and so many other party leaders came across for a reason. And the reason we came across was here we had a situation where the APC was responsible, responsive, and sensitive to the very things that we feared. What are those things? Ethnic domination. Ethnic domination. And we saw a situation whereby the PDP was becoming the very monster that we thought the APC was. And there was a transformation. They opened their doors, they promised a level playing field, no matter what your faith is, no matter what your ethnicity is, and they did precisely that. We went to a convention. I repeat, the leaders of the PDP, of the APC in the north, the governors, insisted that there should be a power shift. They rejected the idea of a Fulani man who has been in power for 8 years, being succeeded by another Fulani man for another 8 years, with all the consequence implications of that. They recognized that this was a difficult thing to accept, this is a difficult thing for them to do, a dangerous thing for this country, and they rejected and said power must go to the south. That is the new APC. Not only that, the new APC does not believe that it is important for us to put too much weight on matters of faith. And I'll tell you why. Nobody in this country, and I say this without any fear of contradiction, no Christian in this country has defended and fought for the Christian cause more than I have. And I say that with every sense of responsibility, and it can be cross-checked and confirmed over the years. And I will tell you, if for 1 second I felt that this Muslim ticket was a threat to the Christian faith or to the church or to our people, I would be the one to lead the charge against it. I know the people involved. Bola Tinubu is not a religious bigot. If he was, he wouldn't have given more land to churches to be built in Lagos than any other governor in the history of our country. He would not have a Christian as a wife, as a pastor. He would not have all his children being Christians. He would not have allowed Christians to flow and to function and flourish in Lagos State the way they have done. He would not have nominated Christian vice president for this present administration in the person of Yemi Osinbajo. He would not have had some of the most brilliant Christian people around him, like Wale Edun and so many others around him as his kitchen cabinet, Dele Alake and so many others like that. This man is not a hegemonist, he's not a religious bigot, and I'm very comfortable with that. Now, he picks a running mate who happens to be a Muslim. Those, I believe, that are the true heroes in this equation are the Christians that have said, listen, we're prepared to say, in the name of political expediency, to bury the issue of religion and go forth to ensure that we win the election. If we do not win the election, if we do not manage to get power next year, it becomes a matter of danger for the entity, for the whole of this country. Why do I say so? The unity of this country. Why do I say so? Let me tell you this for free. The overwhelming majority of Nigerians, the overwhelming majority of the people of this country do not and will never accept the idea of a Fulani to Fulani transition. It is unacceptable simply because it would simply mean every other person is a slave. And that is what we're fighting against. And what do you do to counter that? You must ensure you make concessions of your own. If it means you concede the issue of vice presidency, which is essentially a spare tire, okay, has no executive power except what the president designates. If that's what it takes, fine, that's what it takes. And the real heroes in this fight are the Christians that have said, I will not be bowed or cowed or fooled by those other Christians that say this is some kind of Islamic agenda, that I will be part of this fight, I will ensure power comes to the south, and I will ensure we have a bigger and better Nigeria.
So the issue of religion in your party is of a less problem than that of the ethnic issue in the PDP.
I will answer that. The issue of religious harmony is taken very seriously in the APC, and religious rights are taken very seriously in the APC, but it is not such that we will say, okay, we're not that you must do it this way and balance it this way. It's something that we believe, in terms of political expediency, may not be the right way. You know why?
So you sacrifice that factor
not a question of sacrifice.
On the altar of political expediency?
Not at all. It's not a question of sacrifice, it's a question of political expediency. We want to win an election.
And so you don't think that religion is a matter,
in any way
the interest of those Nigerians who are Christians, who are members of your party, supporters of your party, their feelings and interests don't matter?
I think their feelings are very, very important. And I'll tell you what, I would defend those feelings and those rights with my life if I had to do. And everybody knows that, they know my testimony. But I'll tell you what, I don't think that their rights are in any way affected, their feelings should in any way be undermined or be challenged by this ticket once they understand what is going on. It's a question of explanation. It's not a question of what is right or wrong. You make a choice. The candidate made his choice. He has given his assurances. He has people like me around him and a number of others that are solid, planks in the Christian community that will not even allow him to do some of the things some of his detractors are saying.
And you think that this might cost your party or may not cost your party the election?
I believe this. I believe what he has put in place is going to ensure victory for us. And there are many reasons for that. But let me make this very, very clear. It does not derogate at all from the rights of Northern Christians or anybody else. If it did, I would be the first to say so. Let me tell you, the most important thing for the benefit of the Christian faith and the church in this country is to have good governance and a righteous leader, and to put everything in place that our country moves forward, where rights of various faiths are protected. And the only way you can assure that is a Tinubu presidency, and you must make sure he wins. With the Atiku presidency, you're going the other way. You're going down and down and down the road of ethnic hegemony, and nobody wants that.
So we'll take a break, but before we go into that break,
yes,
I'd like to ask you, you were a youth leader in the Third Republic of a political party, and you are by now NRC, and you were familiar with some of political documents. When you saw the document of your party, does it resonate to you that this looks like something you've seen before?
Listen, I was very much involved in the NRC. I was spokesman to Chief Tommy Kimi at the time, and I was deeply involved. And I've been involved in virtually every democratic dispensation for quite some time now, for almost 30 years. Let me tell you, this is a unique document. It is disingenuous and unfair. It's a specious lie for elements within the PDP to say that this is a copycat document. My good friend Dele Momodu, who I have immense respect for, by the way, would say that this is a copycat, copy and paste document. Far from the truth.
You don't think it looks, some of the elements of those documents,
there are some things, there are some
what has been in the past?
There are some, listen, there are some things that are a given, policies that need to be undertaken. Perhaps if Chief Abiola had managed to become president at that time, those things would have been done long ago. They weren't done. The fact that they weren't done doesn't mean to say we should not advocate such policies again. These are the right things to do. If they offered it at that time, they failed. Doesn't mean we shouldn't offer it today. This document, this manifesto, provides a remedy for our challenges today. It has nothing to do with the past 30 years ago. This is for today. It's the right document, the right time, put forward by the right people, and by God's grace, we shall form the next government in this country next year.
There are a few more questions I have for you, Chief Anikaude, but we'll take a break, everyone.
Thank you.
And when we come back, I'll be asking Chief Anikaude what has been allegations of desperation on the part of the APC in some of the allegations raised going into this election. Is it true that the INEC chairman, there are plans to sack him and to jettison the bimodal accreditation device? We'll be talking about some of these issues that might be posing threats to our democracy. Stay with me, everyone. And when we return also, we'll turn to Lagos State and politics, and the Labour Party governorship candidate, Rhodes-Vivour, will be joining me as I've concluded a conversation with Chief Anikaude. Well, let's continue our conversation now, our closing moment actually with Chief Anikaude. Thank you so much indeed for your time. Quick one, because we have just limited time left.
Yes.
You touch on the issue of security. I will not be able to go away from that if we don't give you opportunity to clear the air about what you said on security. You are one of those who have said that the service chiefs should be sacked. You don't think that security is being done the right way. And you were talking about the state of security earlier.
Let me respond.
Is it right for you to have said that?
Let me respond to that. I said that the security chiefs ought to have been sacked at the time of the Kuje prison break, and I stated my reasons. They responded. They rejected my submissions. But the good news about this is this: they went to work. Immediately after that, everything changed. And what I said at the time, by the way, it wasn't a failing of government. What I said was that the security agencies, DSS and all the other security agencies, had been passing the right information. They were not being acted upon. As a consequence of my crying out to the world and calling for their removal, that is the service chiefs, the military chiefs, they started acting on those information that were being given to them by the security agencies. So it was a good thing to speak out, and they've been doing that ever since. And if you look at what's happening in Abuja, you look at what's happening throughout the Northwest and the Northeast now, even in the North Central, you find that since that time that I made that call, they have sat up and they're doing the right thing.
There is a warning, there is an advisory from the U.S.
Embassy
saying that their staff should be wary of a possible attack on Abuja.
Let me tell you how how you measure it, not by the warnings the Americans give, and it's good that they're warning if they feel sufficiently threatened. There's nothing wrong with that. It's by the number of disasters and attacks that have been averted. And I can tell you from an informed position, I work quite closely with some of the intelligence agencies. I'm close to them. And I can assure you, as a consequence of the good work they're doing, a lot of attacks have been thwarted over the last few weeks, as a consequence of the fact that the service chiefs are now living up to their expectations and doing the right thing.
On the final note, and let's make it very quickly.
Okay.
There is allegation of intimidation. There was an attack reported in Lagos on the candidate of the PDP. There are issues on allegations of desperation, which is the fingers is pointing against your political party to sack the INEC chair, to thwart the use of the bimodal device, which everybody has praised that is working, that your party wants to win at all costs.
Yeah. Well,
and this is coming to the fact, those who are of the belief that your party is no longer popular.
Well, I think, frankly speaking, some of these allegations, particularly the ones about what happened in Lagos, I saw Waziri Atiku Abubakar's tweet. I mean, I really do wish he and others would stop crying like babies. The fact of the matter is, if you look at what happened in Zamfara, look at what happened in Kaduna recently, and you find that it's the PDP supporters that are attacking people. In Zamfara, they were rounded up and they were paraded by the police, and they are the people perpetrating this violence. As for the call for the INEC chairman to be removed and all the rest of it, and these allegations that are being made, that has not come from the APC. These are the rantings, and these are the crying, you know, the cries of people that know that they are heading for defeat. They cannot control their own party. They are divided. They have violated every rule in the book in terms of political cohesion. They have disgruntled members. They have alienated their party leaders, including governors, and they are heading for defeat. It's like an iceberg approaching the tropics. They are melting by the day, and they are threatening, crying, saying all sorts of things in order to prepare the country
Is
for
your
their
party
imminent defeat.
afraid of the Peter Obi factor?
Why would they be? I think it's a good thing he's coming out, but there's no way he presents a threat to the PDP, to the APC. He presents a threat to the PDP in terms of second position, perhaps, or third position, but certainly not to the APC.
Chief Femi Faneke, thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Let's switch gears now, everyone, and let's run to Lagos, where the governorship race in that state will no doubt be very, very interesting. The incumbent is taking a second chance as governing to govern the state, and perhaps a boost came to his side when his counterpart from the PDP, Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State, endorsed him. But the Labour Party and the recent wave we have seen across the country is also getting some patronage in Lagos State. Tonight, I'm being joined by the governorship candidate of the Labour Party in Lagos State, Mr. Gbadebo Rhodes-Vivour. Is live for us in our Lagos studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Rhodes-Vivour, for your time tonight. Let's get the conversation started. Give us a sense of what is happening. First, we're hearing that you were a bit unlucky to get the ticket of the PDP. I mean, you were backed by some of the powers in the party, some very strong figures in the PDP, and you opted for the Labour Party. There was a very intense tussle for the ticket of the Labour Party. You eventually got a ticket. Now, you heard what Chief Body Judge said on this program yesterday night. Give us a sense of how much of those internal politics and what is going on behind the scene, and how much of effect it could be on your chance as running in the Lagos State governorship race.
Well, I feel that when you consider what happened in the PDP and the rumors and controversies that have trailed it, especially the primaries, there's been a lot of lies and a lot of false inputs and spinning that the flag bearer has tried to do consistently, which has really brought him to disrepute. I mean, you have people that of very strong pedigree in Lagos, what you call Omolu Abieko, from people like Chief Bode George that traces lineage to Herbert Macaulay, or Badamosi that traces to Chief Rashid Badamosi, coming out and having their name sullied by the current flag bearer of the PDP. There was agreements that were made on the day of the primary that had me withdraw, because the party leaders from Mama Kofola Bokno, Prince Akitoye, all of them agreed that having a ticket that had the current flag bearer and myself on it would be unbeatable. And they made us, they agreed with us on the floor of the primary, and that is why I withdrew. And based on that, we expected a seamless flow into the elections, but then lo and behold, he reneged on it. I think that he could have just simply put this aside and said, you know, he made a mistake, or this is what he did, apologize and move on. But the issue is calling it to question integrity. It's calling to question the ability to actually be a man of honor. And I think that is why there's so much controversy trailing what has happened in the PDP. Like you said, the path towards achieving the ticket in the Labour Party was a very keenly contested one, and I'm glad that I've emerged as the flag bearer, and we're getting ready to, we're already commenced our campaigns, and like you saw with the Obidati rally where people mobilized without being mobilized, and a new energy that has captivated Lagos State, and that's what we are cultivating as a party to form the next government in Lagos State.
So give us a sense, because we're hearing names of the powers or the hands behind your ticket. Who would you say is responsible for you clinching the ticket of the Labour Party?
The Labour Party. I don't think you can translate or carry on from the PDP to the Labour Party. What happened in the PDP happened in the PDP. In the Labour Party, you had individuals that felt that, you know, they want a young person to fly the flag in the party. They want somebody that embodies what I stand for to fly the flag. The margin during the primaries was only 9 votes, so it was keenly contested, and it was individuals. It was a very free and fair, transparent primary, and I emerged. So it's not, there were no powers that be that came to the Labour Party to try and ensure that I emerged. It was a very keenly contested, free and fair primary.
The side of Jandor, Jide Adediran would say that you were going to be an imposed candidate in the PDP, and he fought the system, and he was the choice of the people of the party, and a popular choice in the party, and that is why these grievances is coming from your own side. But do you see him as a threat to your ticket?
I don't. The person that he came into the party with, Sunday Ajayi, since left him. You have a situation where leaders of the party are coming out to call him out on his inability to be a man of integrity or honor. You have a sitting governor come to Lagos State and endorse another governor. And you cannot just belittle this governor. Governor Wike is somebody that has fought tooth and nail to keep the PDP together. He's a governor that held the party together while others were on holiday. He's a governor that ensured that the ruling party did not get up to 25% when they contested against him. So you cannot just wish that away. And you cannot say that he's going around the country endorsing governors of the APC. So why in particular is this happening in Lagos? It's because he has shown himself to be someone that lacks integrity. And unfortunately, he's having people of solid pedigree being questioned, and it's very, very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. I believe that in all of this, whether it was the primaries, he should have just, to have avoided all of this, he should have just said, I have somebody in mind for deputy governor, let us go to the primaries. And then there'll be no controversy here.
Let's talk about your own steam and your own mandate that you have now. Why the choice of Labour Party? For those who said, look, you only rode on the Peter Obi factor, thinking that that might work. Do you think that is exactly the point? Do you think Peter Obi factor, the Obidati factor, will help you to win the Lagos governorship race?
Well, I think that we need to understand what is currently going on in Nigeria. There is a shift where people are no longer leaving politics to the politicians. People are getting involved. And the Peter Obi, Dati, Rhodes-Vivour politician or kind of politician directly appeals to these people who I call the quiet or the silent majority. When you look at Lagos State, less than 10% of the registered voters come out to participate in elections, right? So you have a huge amount of people. Sorry, about 16% come out participate in elections. So you have almost 80% that stay at home that have voters' cards. So you have a huge amount of people that can actually vote, but they are not motivated to participate in this process. These are the people that have been energized by the movement. And what you are seeing manifest is that there are a group of people that are redefining what politics is, and they are nurturing a new voter demographic. And when you look and see people are responding to Rhodes-Vivour, people are responding to Peter Obi, that is because they embody what they want in a new Nigeria. They embody integrity, they embody intellectual capacity, they embody empathy. And that is what is driving this movement. So if you bring somebody that does not fit into that caste, you'll find that these people are very sophisticated and selective. They will not go with that person.
Mr. Rhodes-Vivour, the question I'm asking invariably is, without a Peter Obi attached to your ticket or to your name in your campaign, can you by yourself, in your own name, win the governorship race of Lagos State?
Nobody, I don't think anybody can win an election based on their own name. That's why we join a party, right? And we come together to actually deliver a state.
Is a Peter Obi a factor that you are relying on?
I'm not relying on it solely. We are building structures, we are motivating people to get involved, and we are also working with Peter Obi. These are all factors that are coming together.
You think that it will help you? You think that it's going to be a big push for you? Do you think
it is a major boost because, like I said, you have a silent majority that have not been participating in politics that have now gotten up and awoken to the responsibility that they're supposed to have in a democracy. So he has defined, he has set the path.
The people of
we are
Lagos
building the groundwork to ensure that.
What are you bringing? Okay, sorry. I was going to put up a question. I thought you landed on that thought. Can I go now?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So, so I'm asking, what are you bringing to the table? Why should the people of Lagos State vote for you?
Well, first of all, if you understand that at 35, I contested for Lagos West Senatorial. I had the largest opposition votes in Lagos State. So I know the intricacies of those 125 wards that I've already contested in. I'm coming with a manifesto that talks about transparency and accountability, a Lagos that is run to revolve around the people, that allows for efficient use of the resources that we have to ensure that from project implementation to project conception is done to give people the best possible governance and the best possible service in the fastest possible time for the most amount of people. We're trying to create a Lagos state that works for you, a Lagos state that not only focuses on how much they can raise in terms of taxation, but focuses on giving you a direct benefit to the taxes that they're generating from you. And we're doing this across all sectors.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, we are in a season where some of us in this profession have decided to say, we're no longer going to be hearing what politicians want to do, but how they want to go about it. And one question I would like to ask you before we close this conversation is that you want to fix Lagos. The question is, how?
Transparency and accountability in one. When we have a situation where the Lagos state government actually upholds the social contract between itself and the people, can directly line by line account for how they're expending the resources that they generate from Lagos state, that they generate from taxation, so we can actually check to make sure that projects, roads, bridges are being done at the benchmark prices set by the World Bank. We are already achieving success because at that point we go away from delivering projects that cost 4 times the price based on the World Bank standards to actually delivering projects.
How would you do that? Are you going to be publishing it on television?
Exactly, that's what I said. So we're going to have line by line items broken down.
To the table of the average, how would that reduce traffic in Lagos? How would that stop flooding?
So it's going to reduce traffic because instead of having 1 flyover, you can now have 4. Because we are meeting the benchmark that is set. When you look at the history of project implementation in Lagos State, it's being done on average at 4 times the price that it's supposed to be done. And by making it transparent and accountable, these can be checked and the public can see that we are accountable to them and we are giving them project delivery at the best possible price in the best possible time with the best possible quality.
You think that there is no accountability and transparency presently in Lagos?
Definitely not. The entire financial system is opaque. You have systems where there's complete shams and frauds, from the dredging of our waterways that we are in Sherry now. The place is already starting to get flooded. Ogun River is already flooding these places. Embankments and proper dredging could have been done. You will find that in the budget, monies have been allocated for these things, and you find that it's allocated at 3 times the price that will actually get the work done. But these things are not done. And the people cannot even attack the finances of the state because it's very opaque and it's not transparent. And in a state that generates so much money from its people and takes so much pride in the revenue that it generates, there must be social contract and accountability, and that is currently lacking in Lagos State. Badaba
Rhodes-Vivour, the Labour Party governorship candidate in Lagos State. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight, and we wish you the very best.
Thank you for having me.
In the campaign and, of course, in the March election. Thank you so much indeed. Well, that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimbalwe. Bye-bye, and God bless Nigeria.